Welcome to the Warframe Comprehensive New Player Guide. We'll be going through each section one by one, starting with choosing your first Warframe, moving on to modding, key mechanics, crafting, resources and how to obtain them, the star chart itself, and how to obtain master rank, and finishing off with tips and tricks. If you want to skip to any section, just click the annotation down below. If you'd like to see all of them one by one, just continue watching. So, welcome to the first part of the guide, which is, of course, choosing your first Warframe. So, instead of me telling you what to pick, I'm going to show you each Warframe doing what they do, slight rundown of their abilities, I'm not going to go too in-depth, and then I'm going to let you choose. So, of course, we're starting here with Excalibur, with a very generic loadout of the base starter weapons and easy-to-obtain weapons, but Excal is the poster child of Warframe, of course, and that is what makes him pretty much one of the most favored of the choices. And I can understand that. So, let's give you a quick rundown of some enemies here. Let's get some elite answers. So, we're just gonna get a couple of these guys to play with so you can kind of see his abilities. So, there we go, there's Palmy. Alright, so his first ability is a slash dash, which kind of like auto-targets enemies, and then it'll head towards them and slice them. So, you're pretty generic slice and dice kind of maneuver. Okay? Let me go grab some more energy so I can show you his second ability. Now, his second ability is a CC that blinds the enemies around him, that of course can see in line of sight, and it opens them to finishers, which is pretty darn good. And his third ability is pretty good too. It's Radial Javelin, which sends out little blades that of course hit enemies, send them flying, and end their life. It is based on line of sight, so if you can't see them, it don't hit them. But it does its job well. It's that emergency, I need a button to kill stuff. You kill stuff. Now, his most famous ability is, of course, his Exalted Blade. This lets him summon a sword that can create kind of laser swords. It has its own melee stance, as you can see. If you grab some more energy here so I can show it off a proper. I think I killed them all, so we'll get a couple more baddies out there. If you are sliding and you use his ability, he will do a smaller radial blind. And it does cost energy to do that, pretty much the same as radial blind. But it's a nice extra feature to have. In case you're in trouble, you can just slide and do all that. Now, just a brief little chit-chat about his stats. Out of the starters, he does have more armor. He has pretty generic health to shield ratio, 300-300. And the biggest factor is he does have a strong starting armor. And that can make or break a starting frame, considering he's tough enough where he can take some hits, unlike some of the other choices that we'll get into. And now we'll move on to our next choice on the list, which is, of course, Vault. Now, I know I have Vault Prime, so if you see stats, just for the most part ignore the stats, because these are only slightly different. Just that they are faintly different. I almost forgot to mention Excalibur's passive, which makes melee weapons faster and do more damage. Sorry about that. But this is, of course, Vault. And Vault is kind of a caster-ish CC frame. As you can see, that's his first ability, which is Chain Lightning. It's probably called Shock, yeah. Shock. It's called Shock. But it's your essential Chain Lightning caster type ability. His second ability increases his speed of running, and his melee attack speed, and I believe also his reload speed. Let's throw some of this out. We'll do it again. Reload. Yeah, increases his reload speed. He's a pretty good frame. He can get you in and out of missions very quickly. And I like him. His third ability, of course, is Shield, which if you shoot through the shield, it will add extra damage to his attacks in the form of electricity. And if you want, you can go super cool mode. Hey, pick that up. And you can go Riot Shield with it, which is something I like. You can be Electro Riot Police. We'll go get some more energy to show off his last and final ability. And we'll get rid of these guys and get a fresh set, just so you can see it in all of its glory. His fourth ability is Discharge, which will shock enemies. Some enemies will turn into capacitors, which will shock other enemies that get close to it. And if you couldn't gather him right now by seeing it, he is a crowd control caster type Warframe. He's pretty good. He's slightly on the squishy side. As you can see, he has slightly more shield than he does health, which is nice, but his armor's lower than Excalibur, so he can get pretty beat up pretty quickly. And as you can see, right near his health numbers in the upper right corner, you see a number going up. That is a passive ability. As that charges up, it increases the damage of your next attack. As you can see, that bullet would do more damage. So the more you run around, and speed does make this charge up faster, you build up a static charge. You know, it's just like when you're a kid and wearing socks and running along your carpet. So it's pretty much a nice little bonus to have. The only downside is one bullet is gone. It kind of sucks. It does apply to his abilities, but not all of them very perfectly, and most time you end up shooting stuff and wasting it anyways. But that's Vault. I like him. He's nice. He's a different play style than Excal, which is kind of your generic I kill everything in sight with slicey dicey abilities. But he's a little bit on the squishy side, but that's why you can run fast. So you can run, keep everything stunned, and not have to worry about it. Moving on to our next one, which of course is Mag. Of course, yet again, only got the Prime, but it's irrelevant in this case. So, with Mag, if you have even looked into Warframe, you've probably seen some jokes, some memes per se. You know, nerf this, and oh, looks like we got a nerf Mag again. Mag is very much the punching bag of the community, but she is not too bad, but she is very, very squishy. Her first ability is Pull, which does exactly what you expect it to do. It pulls whatever you're aiming at towards you in kind of a conical shape. And you can pull people off cliffs, you can pull people towards you. It's a nice little ability. So let's get some more energy here, get some more guys to play around with. Get rid of those guys. Alright, her second ability is Magnetize, which what that does is it pulls enemies inwards towards it, and of course, as you can see, it sucks in all the bullets in the area. So anything that's trapped in this bubble gets lovely, lovely, lovely little magnet bullets killing it. Every bullet. So you put a very high damage rocket in there, it'll hit them. You put a sniper bullet in there, it'll hit them. And it's also a great way to not get shot by enemies. Where did you go, buddy? Yeah, shoot at me. As you can see, it absorbs bullets, so you don't take any damage. And yeah, it's a nice countermeasure towards people who are shooting at you. And of course, the more bullets in it, the more damage done, etc., etc. And her third ability is Polarize. Now, what Polarize does, I think we're going to need tougher enemies to properly show you what Polarize does. Let's up the level of these guys, just so they don't keel over instantaneously. Let's go 50. That should be overkill. Well, they should survive a second. There we go, level 50 enemies. Now what Polarize will do is, when you cast it, there we go, it will strip a certain amount of armor off of them if they have armor, or it'll strip shield if they have shields. In this case, they have armor. As you can see, this guy now has no armor, and it makes them more vulnerable to damage. And of course, if you are using her ability to strip shields, which I think it's worthy to show you. Okay guys, you can go away now. I need some corpus. Let's get some generic corpus, guys. Perfect. I'll take 8 of you. Let's get rid of them. We'll simulate those guys up. Alright, now as you can see, these guys have shields. And... oh, I have invulnerability on. 2 seconds. Sorry about that. Get some more energy. Get rid of those guys. We'll lower those guys, because Mag is not very tough. Not tough at all. Alright, there we go. We'll run towards him real quick here, and as you can see, 460. Come on, somebody get hit by it. As you can see, when it hits them, it sucks their shields off and gives it to you. Boo on you. I'll take that energy. Yes, you can use that to regain the shields for all of your allies, including yourself, which is very, very nice. We'll use these guys for the next test as well. Now, her 4th ability is Crush, where she will lift them up and, well, she'll crush. It's a much larger area, does a lot more damage than Polarize, and is a great AoE kill everything in sight. And, of course, the other thing with Mag that's not so much with the other guys is Mag has a couple synergies. So, we're gonna simulate those guys again, and I will show you some synergy stuff. Or bubble that guy, Polarize, and as you can see, yes, you can see it, right? Come on. As you can see, they're taking extra damage. If you do strip armor off of your enemy, which I don't know if these guys have a very much armor. Let me get you some grenadiers just to make sure you can see that 100%. Grenadier. Elite Lancers, that's... there you are. I need a good chunk of you guys. You guys can get over. We'll simulate them. Just guarantee you can see it. So, we are going to magnetize that guy. And polarize. And since I stripped armor off of them, chunks of the armor will go into that bubble, increasing the damage stun. As you can see, some of those aren't bullets. Those are bullets. Those were chunks of armor that I had stripped from an enemy. So there's synergy between those two abilities, where if you use them, you strip the armor off, the armor becomes a deadly projectile within the green bubble, which is cool. It's okay. But it is important to note that Mag is squishy and extremely, and I mean extremely, energy dependent. Let me just ditch all this energy on doing nothing real quick, and we will go try to fight these guys and try not to die. I mean, these are pretty generic enemies that you'll be fighting a lot, and I'm using a pretty generic weapon you'll have. Come on, and she's down. So without her powers, she's not as strong. So, and to show you each one's kind of factor on that, I'll grab Excal out again. Oop, doing a barrel. I just won't use any abilities for him. I'll just use his weapons. So you can see, and you can already kind of see, I'm not taking anywhere near the damage Mag was. Of course, I'm not running around as much as I was with Mag, but you can kind of see he lasts a little longer in general. Like, even on low health, he's taking quite a beating. And that's because, of course, Excal has more armor. And I can show you the stats of Excalibur because his stats are natural stats. As you can see, armor 225, which is more than both Vault and Mag. Here we are, Vault. He has 100 armor, but that could be because of Prime. That's why I don't quote me on all this stuff. I believe the natural one is 65, but if we do him in a more natural state, see, of course, as you can see, his passive ability is making him a little bit better at this because, of course, every time I run around, I get a little extra damage on that first shot. So he has a slight damage advantage over Excal, so you can take that into account when you're making your first choice. Get out of here, my friend. So yeah, you can see Vault can be very good. He's probably not as tough as Excalibur. Hello. And the only reason this is going so well is because of that damage advantage, but that stuff goes away once you get into our next section, modding. So, there are your three options. If you liked any one of them, choose them. You don't have to listen to this as a guide of me telling you what to pick. I'm showing you that each are an option, and you should choose the one that you like to play the most, because it's not about what's the best, it's about what you like to do. So I'll see you guys in the next section. Welcome to Modding 101, the basics of modding. I'm going to cover melee weapons, warframes, and normal weapons. So let's get through this. The first slot here is an aura slot, which auras are beneficial to everyone in your group. For instance, Energy Siphon. Warframe energy regenerates at 0.6 energy per second. So you put that on, everyone in your group will slowly regen energy, and if everyone in your group has it, the rate goes up by the 0.6. So if 2 people have it, you have 1.2. 4 people have it, you have 2.4, so on and so forth. And you definitely want to get yourself a corrosive projection as soon as you see the alert, because reducing enemy armor is pretty much the best thing in the game. It'll make you kill enemies the fastest, so to speak. So if you see an alert for it, get it. If not, ask a clanny. Because reducing enemy armor is the hardest thing to do, and also very few things do it, but the things that do are great, and you want that. The second slot here is an Exilis slot, and what that is a utility slot that you can unlock with an Exilis adapter that lets you put in certain mods that generally are more utility based, such as sliding, running faster, little bit more energy for your Warframe, a little more damage for your Warframe, which ability strength is essentially your damage for Warframes. And these are your generic slots. These are your bog standard slots. Also reference, when you add something into your aura slot, it adds to your capacity. It's the only slot that adds. So you have 60 now, that adds 7. Now if it matched this symbol here, which is its polarity, this would double that, so I would get 14 extra. these will half the cost of any mod that is put in there. In this case, there you go. It cost 8 instead of 16. The only other thing you can do to increase your capacity, which I've already done on this Warframe, is upgrade with a Orokin reactor. Or I can polarize, which is using a forma to change a slot to one of those fancy symbols. So, Orokin reactor doubles the amount you have, and polarization makes your mods cost half as much if they match the symbol. That's the generic of modding. As you can see, each mod has different effects. Some give you ability strength at the cost of duration, some give you duration at the cost of range, some just give you straight stats, like here, more armor, which will give you more armor. Most of them do exactly what they say. The only ones that are an oddity are set mods, which, as you can see, they still give you the generic bonus that all the other mods do, but they give you a set bonus. In this case, the Augur set gives you 40% more 40% energy spent on abilities as converted shields. Put that there. We put 2 of them on. As you can see, now it's 80%. And if you have 6 of these mods equipped throughout your various warframes and weapons, whatever the set mods belong to, it increases that bonus higher. The only side note about Warframes to note is when it comes to efficiency. There is currently only 2 mods that give you direct efficiency, Fleeting Expertise and Streamline. But they don't work on certain abilities perfectly. For example, Fleeting Expertise, as you can see, I have 60% efficiency right now. And if I go to my abilities, this part is cheaper, but the energy per second is not. It remains the same. Channeling abilities, or toggled abilities, are based on the 2 weighing factors of duration and efficiency. So in this case, I have much better efficiency, but much lower duration. Now if I add some duration, as you can see, my channeling cost much lower. So keep that into account with certain warframes and certain abilities. If it is a channeling ability that has energy per second, you need both duration and efficiency. You want to keep those as even as you can to get the most bang for your buck out of channeling abilities. So, moving on to primary weapons. I just want to upgrade, thank you. These are kind of your bread and butter mods. Some of them have damage, some of them have elemental types, some of them have IPS, and we'll quickly run over what IPS is, which is impact, puncture, and slash. Impact, when it reaches a status proc, it'll knock someone around, it'll kind of stagger them, they'll jump around. When puncture goes off, it reduces the damage they output by a little bit, or at least I believe that's how it's supposed to be in the future. And slash will give them a bleed effect where they'll take 30% of your total damage over a few seconds. Now, the other ones that I'll cover real quickly, just so you know, these are your basic elemental mods. Heat, of course, sets stuff on fire, so it takes a bit of damage over time. Toxin, roughly the same thing. It does a little bit of damage over time. What are my other ones? Electricity, it'll shock them, so they will stand there shaky, all shocky-like. And there's one last one, which is cold, which is cryo rounds. Cold will slow them down. They'll move slower, they'll freeze. And then we have the specialty ones, which I'm going to show you with these, which is when you add 1 and then 2 status effects. As you see, Toxin and Electricity turns into Corrosive. Corrosive, when it procs on an enemy, will reduce its armor. And if you do it multiple times, like you proc it 3-4 times, it'll continue to reduce our armor until there's no longer armor or the status effect wears off. If we had Electricity and Cold, we get Magnetic, which is practically the same effect. It's the same as Corrosive, but for shields, it'll reduce the shields until there are no more shields for X amount of time. We have Radiation, which is basically, it'll confuse the enemy, they'll start shooting at random people, and it's quite entertaining to watch. Then we have, if I switch that out, we have Gas, which is kind of like Toxin, except for an AoE. There'll be a gas cloud that pops up, everybody gets hit by the gas cloud, and then they will start spreading it, so to speak. Now, if we add this one, we want Cold, and there we go, Viral. Viral reduces their health by half, very similar to Magnetic and Corrosive, but every time you proc, it'll reduce their health by half and half and half, but if the duration wears off, their health goes back up. So, stack it till there's no more health to have. And of course, based on your status chance. I believe that's... Oh, there's one more. One more. Blast. It does exactly what it says. It blasts. It makes an explosion that launches people back. That's more or less all there is to blast. It knocks people down and back. Alright, minor stuff to cover. Crit chance, crit multiplier. Crit chance, of course, how much you crit. Multiplier is how much damage you do when you do. So, crit damage. Do I really have? Yeah, vital. There it is. As you see, you can increase your crit multiplier, so every time you crit, instead of doing 1.5 damage, you can do more. And of course you can increase your crit chance with different mods, as the crit chance, status chance. And then this is something I will cover right now, which is multi-shot. Now, there's no multi-shot shown on here, which is unfortunate, but you will see it does affect your stats. You'll see the numbers change based on how much multi-shot you have. And what that is a rough calculation on when you get multiple bullets, because that's what multi-shot does. It gives you a chance to have multiple bullets. In this case, you have a 60% chance to have 2 bullets come out instead of 1. So you have a 60% chance to double your damage. That's essentially what multi-shot does, is it's a chance to double your damage, and if you add more, let's see here, where do I split chamber? I don't have enough points, but as you can see, that's 90. So if we added those two together, you have a 150% multi-shot chance, which actually means you have a 100% chance for 2 bullets and a 50-50 chance for 3 bullets. So you want to use multi-shot and straight damage often, because that's how you can scale up your damage at pretty much no cost to anything, unless you're using a bow. And a bow with multi-shot will lose some accuracy. You'll see 2 arrows, one will kind of flump a little downwards, and the other one will go straight as an arrow. So, on bows, take that into account. That's more or less all there is to normal weapons. Now, melee, on the other hand, comes with a couple special caveats. In this case, it's a stance. Your stance will change what moves you do when you have your melee equipped by itself. And that's important to know, because each stance will do different things. The stance... Get rid of this stuff real quick. The stance is much like an aura when you match the slot to the proper stance, you'll get bonus points. As you can see, matches, you get 10. Doesn't match, you get less. With melee, though, there is a couple factors to take into account. Stances and special procs that happen during the special moves. So we hit combo here. As you can see, you do these maneuvers. Some, and I can't cover it, there's too many to cover. Some of these have special abilities. Some of these special moves, like Autumn Leaf, might have more damage, might have a slash proc built in. That's just something to take note of. If you want to figure it out, check the wiki in this case. There's just so many stances, I couldn't tell you which ones have special procs or not. But the other thing to cover with melee is increased combo duration. Now, combo duration is every time you hit an enemy and kill an enemy, your little combo meter goes up, much like Devil May Cry, or, fighting games where you're punching and your combo's going up and it increases your damage. Normally, this will only increase a few ticks a second. Like, you'll go up and then you'll stop combat and then it'll just go away. In this case, if you add this on, instead of being, I believe it's a 2-second combo duration, so you smack a couple guys and that guy's, 2 steps away, there goes your combo. This gives you 12 seconds when it's maxed out, and I'll show you how to max a mod in a second here. This will give you 12 seconds to get from guy A to guy B without losing your bonus damage, essentially. And your combo meter can increase your crit chance, and it increases your damage, of course. And with certain mods, it can also increase your status chance. So with melee, you want to build a combo, and you want that combo to last, and you want to get the most damage you can. And of course, having good status or crit, depending on the weapon type. For the most part, the weapon will tell you. In this case, it has a bit more status, but it still has a pretty strong crit chance, so this one you can go either or with. In this case, I would probably do something like this, and...
Tenno, time-limited mission alert available. Check navigation.
Sure, we'll do that. There we go. That's a pretty decent start for craft weapon. Blood Rush, a little hard to obtain. Ask your friends. Some will have it. And there's other mods that take place of this, like Gladiator Rush, which you can get on the plains, which gives you a similar effect as well. So that's some notes on melee. Here I'm going to show you how to upgrade your mod. You just go to Fusion. As you can see, it says 5.8 meters. You rank it up, it's now 10. And ranking it up costs Endo, which you'll find in-game, of course, killing enemies and as special mission rewards and whatnot. And, of course, credits. And that's really the only thing about upgrading your mods in this case. And I'm just going to cover these, not because you'll see them as a new player anytime soon, but so you understand what people are talking about when they talk about Rivens. Rivens are mods for specific weapons that have completely random stats. You get these from endgame sorties. Sorties are just a special mission that you can do once a day that have a chance of giving you a bunch of high-end stuff. But just so you know, when people talk about Rivens, they're talking about these random mods right here that have random stats. As you can see, this one has damage to infested, finisher damage, damage to corpus, negative combo duration, and this one's for melee. This one's for a gun, it has multi-shot, damage to corpus, slash duration, stash duration, all that. And you can, of course, view these, and you can roll the dice to change the stats if you don't like the stats. So if you hear people talking about Rivens, or you should get a Riven for that, or anything like that, this is what they're talking about, just so you know. But you shouldn't encounter these for quite some while, and don't worry too much if anyone's talking about Riven's to you. If you're a new player, don't worry. And even if you're a veteran who's watching this just to brush up on your Warframe, know that Rivens are not required, no matter what anyone says. And that's a rough layout of modding. Hopefully I didn't miss any big details, and I hope you have a better understanding of what modding is. Welcome to Key Mechanics. I'm going to show you some things that you may not have learned in the tutorial about parkour, because I feel parkour is a key mechanic, and some of it's not well explained. So you know the generic jump, which is set to whatever key. I'm not going to explain keys, because you may change them to whatever you like. And then of course crouch, which lets you slide, and of course bullet jump, which is crouching while moving, and then jumping. And then the probably not well explained aim glide, which is when you aim and you hold down your aim mechanic while you're in the air and moving along. And then of course there is wall hopping, which is just jumping when you're against an object, and so on and so forth with that. And that is how you generally get around different maps. This is, of course, our dojo parkour map, which is a good way to get used to it, is to join a clan and run around their parkour area, getting good at the mechanics that come with it. Now, the trick with getting around certain obstacles is knowing what maneuver to do when. So, if you want to go long distance, I suggest aim glide. And then if you hold down control at the last second of an aim glide, you'll get a slight boost so you can go a little further. See, they don't explain that to you in the tutorial, do they? The fact that you can glide for quite a distance, oh no, I'm going down, and then glide even more by just hitting your crouch button, which will let you slide even further, even faster, so you can get around maps at lightning speeds, especially when you know what you're doing. And stuff like this, where you can get around difficult terrain just by moving. And you can also look to change direction. So I'm going up this wall, now I want to go sideways, so I aim that way. So generally where you're looking pushes you in the direction you want to go. And you just got to figure out which direction you want to move and aim for where you want to go. And then, you know, here's a perfect example of a time where you could technically be like, ooh, look, I'm so good, jumpy, jumpy. Or you can just be like, yeah, there's a giant chasm, screw that chasm, aim glide, and I'm over it. What chasm? Was that a chasm? I don't know. Now, this one, as you can see, has missing tiles, they fall out. Oh, nice try. Another perfect example of aim glide jump over. You'll find that aim glide can get you around pretty much all rough obstacles. Now, if you are in air and you need to go down really quick, which unfortunately they don't let you show here, is you can do a melee attack like that. That's another one I should show you, is if you're crouching and you aim up, you do a much larger jump. So if you need to get some air, crouch, aim up, jump, aim glide. You can double jump, of course, because we are Space Ninja. And then many other maneuvers. Or, they don't let you walk. Boo on you, boo on you. And that's how I can get back into the course. Now, as you see, you'll find in certain levels these laser lines. You can go through this and get all zapped by, or you can just be like, nah, I don't feel like it today. And as you can see, I can use crouching to kind of extend and move a little faster with certain parts of it. Now, you do lose a little bit of momentum every time. You can't, like, infinitely fly across the map. But that's more or less some key mechanics that can help you get through levels. Now, I'm going to do this course in reverse real quick so you can kind of see how I combine the stuff to move faster and get through this rather quickly and effortlessly, because the whole goal with Warframe's core system is to get around effortlessly and not have to slow down. You want to be able to get from A to B as quick as possible, and part of that's learning, the tile sets, and other parts of that is learning when to do what. In this case, I'm using a lot of wall running, and now that I'm through that, I'm going to use my jumps and my crouching, and I'm back to the beginning of the course. So, practice your parkour. Don't worry too much if you bump into walls and you look kind of silly at first. You'll get better as you learn how to navigate. And if you're having trouble navigating, don't forget you got that nice mini map in the upper corner where you can see exactly where you need to go. The waypoints aren't always perfect, but you can still use just the mini map to figure out generally the layout, what you need to do in what situation. And when in doubt, bullet jump, aim glide. Or, fall. But that, to me, is the key mechanics. And I hope you guys have learned something. And I'll see you in the next part. Holy crap, look at all this stuff. I bet you're really confused just looking at all this madness. But you won't be after this, because this is the part where I talk about crafting and resources. Now, Foundry is the module where you craft everything. Jump out, as you can see, it's right there. Straight from here, down here, and this is where you craft stuff. Crafting is easy to understand, sometimes confusing due to resources, which I will cover. As you can see, I have a couple weapons crafted here, but just to give you a rundown, Warframes are a tricky thing to craft, because it's not perfectly explained, but I'm going to explain to you in the shortest way I can. You have to craft each one of these pieces first. As you can see, they take 12 hours and a bunch of resources. You have to craft all 3 of these, then you can craft that, which takes, as you can see, 3 days. So if you want a new Warframe, it can take 3 days and 12 hours. Sucky, right? I know, but you can pay to expedite these things. I would never suggest it unless you have money to throw at your screen. And that's generally crafting. Every weapon is the same thing. Resources, time, credits. Rinse, repeat till the end of days. The only things that might be slightly different are quest items, and it'll always tell you the crafting time, the cost, and thank you, artist, you can shut up now. Shut up. No one loves you. Anywho, haha. You can also search stuff in here, so I want just the boar, I want Banshee. Oh, it's not in the primary, but if I hit all, it'll show me all the Banshee stuff, and things in descriptions. I can also type in things like shotgun, and it'll show essentially shotguns. I guess it's a shotgun, even though it's a pistol. But that's crafting in a nutshell. Get the resources required, hit build, everybody understands. But where do I get some of these resources, you might ask? And that is where we come to our next section, which is resources. So I'm going to move over here, and we're just going to ignore that this is a star chart. We're getting to that section at some point. But this is where you obtain resources, except for a few rare resources, which we will cover. As you see, you have your alerts, which have resources in them. In this case, here's a rare one, Vauban Systems Blueprint. You can only get that via alerts. So, sorry that this video is coming out too late for you to get that, but take note of things like that. Another resource that can only be obtained from alerts is Nightane. There are 4 Nightane alerts per day, and they come at variable times. So just assume you'll get 1, maybe 2 nighttane per day if you are lucky. Another group of resources you can get is, of course, field rons. Some blueprints do show up here. Mutagen mass and detonite injectors. And you can get those by doing these special mission types 3 times. As you can see, there's a little bar here. In this case, there's plenty of time because the red is not full. But if you do this mission right here 3 times, these might change. You will get that 1 mutagen mass when the infestation is defeated. Unless, of course, it is something like this, where, as you can see, there's 2 sides. If you support this side and you lose, then you won't get this item. But if you support the winning side, you will get the item for that side. And that's when the one side wins. And that's a way to get some of these hard to find ones like field ron, detonite injectors, etc. Now, another way to find out what resources you can gather is you go to the specific node and you see this in the corner here. This list, as you can see here, ferrite, rubido, neurodes, detonite, ampules, that is the resource you can obtain from this specific planet. Now, to obtain these resources, I have a couple tips. Number 1 is doing these special nodes here, which, as you can see, they have this. They're called dark sectors, and more resources, more EXP, credit bonus for completing the mission. These dark sector nodes, every planet has a couple of them, and these are, in my opinion, the best way to obtain that set of resources there. And they are roughly in the list of rare, are from common all the way down to rare. So ferrite, very common, rubido, very common, neurodes, uncommon, detonite, ampules, rare. So if I go to Jupiter, for instance, as you can see, we have common. I guess they don't follow that order. I apologize for that statement, but salvage, field around samples, neural sensors, and alloy. I wish they'd put those in the proper order now that I think about it, because neural sensors are the rare for this area. Alloy plates and salvage, super common. Field around samples, uncommon. But you can always see what each planet has just by clicking on that. And in this case, yet again, you have 2 different nodes of the dark sector, which, as you can see, increased drop rate, better stuff. These, I always suggest doing these dark sectors to go for the resource you need, because they are the quickest way, and as you can see, they're always infestation. In infestation, they come in gigantic waves, and they help a ton when I'm going for resources. Another resource that is very specific and has a way of being comes from the void, and that is argon crystal. Argon crystal will only last in your inventory for 24 hours, and then it'll start to decay. And what I mean by decay is the numbers will slowly decline. If you have 24, tomorrow you'll have 12, so on and so forth. So you will often need to obtain argon crystal every time you need it for whatever you need to craft. So don't expect to amass argon crystal, just expect you will have to reobtain it every time you need more if you haven't touched it for that day. So if you need argon crystal, or you have a lot of things to craft that require it, I suggest doing that all at once. Get all the argon crystal you need for that day, dump it in all your crafting stuff, and then you don't have to worry about it not being there the next day. And that's more or less the easiest way to figure out how to obtain the things you need. In case of this one, you have Morphix, Ferrite, Polymer Bundles, and Detonite Ampules. That's how you obtain resources, and I hope you now know how to craft and obtain resources to some extent. I'll be going over resources a little more heavily in the star chart module. Quick little side note, this is an Oxium Osprey, and this is Oxium. This is how you obtain it, by killing an Oxium Osprey. You can find these on Corpus tiles. Sorry I left that out of the resources bit, but now you know. Welcome to the Star Chart and Mastery Rank module. We're going to cover Mastery Rank real quick because it's something I think all players don't always understand but need to know. Mastery Rank is more or less the amount of stuff you've collected in this game. Yup, it's Pokemon. You gotta collect them all to get all the Mastery Rank you want. And as you can see, these are weapons that I've obtained Mastery Rank for. Now, weapons... all weapons are worth 3,000 Mastery experience. All of them. Every single one. There's only a few things that are not worth 3,000. Those being companions, which are worth 6,000. Their weapons are only worth 3, but the companions themselves are worth 6,000. And Warframes and Archwings are worth 6,000. So to obtain Mastery Rank, you simply get the item, get it to rank 30, and then you're done. And if you ever need to check how far you are along on a Mastery Rank, you can click Show Profile, and as you can see, I'm Mastery Rank 20. I have 87,000 and some to go to obtain more Mastery Rank. So if I wanted to get to 21, I'd have to level up quite a few weapons, and probably a couple more Warframes. Hurry up and release more, guys! Right now, the maximum you can achieve is Mastery Rank 25, which is all the exclusive weapons, all the exclusive Warframes, everything. You have mastered everything. So don't worry about rushing to get to 25. That'll be very difficult to obtain. What I suggest is focusing on trying to get to somewhere around 15, which isn't as hard as it sounds. It just takes time. You can do your Mastery Rank up test every 24 hours. And if you go to Cephalon Cimerus, you can try the Mastery Rank test before you get there so you can practice, just as a note. Now, the other way you can obtain Mastery Rank EXP is, of course, through junctions, which, as you see, each junction on the map has a certain set of goals to open said junction. Now, of course, I have all of them open, but I'm just going to cover a small amount of said junctions so you understand. The junctions will open up the next map. So, for starters, here is the Mars Junction. Complete the quest once awake, which is the starter quest. Defeat 150 Frontier Grineer on Earth. Pretty easy to do, considering you will be fighting nothing but Grineer for the most part. Collect 500 Rubidoux. Extremely easy to do. That's practically 2 missions. And complete Shuge on Mercury. So obviously, Mercury must be open to you. It might be part of the quest. And same with the Venus Junction, you just complete the part. Then you'll go to the junction itself, fight a little mini-boss, which is essentially a specter of your character. And when you defeat him, you'll get a little bit of Mastery Rank, and then you can move on to, for instance, Venus. And that's how you progress through the star chart. Now, my suggestion, as always, is take your time going through the star chart. Don't get overly gobbledygooked of, I gotta attain this, I gotta attain that, I need to get the best, I need the greatest. Trust me, you'll find that even your starter, if you started with Excalibur, Vault Mag, you'll find that your starter frame can get you through all of this. Maybe not at perfect efficiency where everything's super easy, but every Warframe can get through all of this content with modding. Now, some side notes are the Derelict, which is part of the star chart but is not fully explained, is you need keys to get into the Orokin Derelict. And those keys are in your clan dojo. So you have to join a clan to unlock the Derelict. And the Derelict has the Orokin Vaults, which contains some very important mods that you will need at some point. So just keep that as a note. Joining clan, very important, so you can unlock the Derelict, so you can unlock some extremely important mods. And you can build the keys. Now, the rest of the star chart's pretty self-explanatory. As you can see, I have a Kuva Fortress, which is a spoiler, but you will unlock that during quest. So, look forward to that quest, because there's a lot of great quests you'll get to. Other thing about the star chart to take into account is you don't have to play every node in every bit just to get there. You don't have to unlock the whole star chart to play with friends. If you have some veteran friends, they can take you anywhere on this star chart. They can take you anywhere that is available to them. So don't get too worried about, oh man, all my friends have been playing so long, but I gotta finish the star chart because I can't play with them. That's wrong. That's a lie. You can play anything that they have available to you. Now, with the star chart itself, a few things to take notice of is this Kuva Fortress, when you have it unlocked, will create these special nodes, which are just special quests where inside the mission you can get Kuva. Kuva will be used for crafting some weapons and ribbons. Don't worry about it. Now, to cover these things up here, which you may not have all of them, so you understand, these are the alerts. As you can see, there's an alert for the Wildfire mod with some extra cash, Vaban, sprint boost, and some extra cash. So pay attention to these, because certain mods you can only obtain through these, such as Constitution, Corrosive Projection. Quite a few of the aura mods are only obtained through these alerts. Also, Nightane will show up in these alerts, and you definitely will need to do those missions the moment you see them. If you cannot get to the node that contains Nightane, you can go down to the recruiting chat and just say the words, "Need taxi to Nightane alert," and you will more likely than not get invited by someone to that mission, because Nightane is a pain in the butt for new players, but it is extremely important for obtaining some weapons and some warframes. So if you see a Nightane alert, do that first, and then you'll obtain Nightane over time. So when it does come where you need 10, 15 Nightane for 3 or 4 different weapons, you have it. That's just something a new player should pay attention to, is when you're playing, keep an eye out for those Nightane alerts. Now these are syndicate missions if you join the syndicate. I'm not sure what mastery rank or when that happens for you, but when you do join a syndicate, these are extra syndicate missions to give you extra syndicate EXP. And there'll also be tokens hidden in these missions, which will give you even more syndicate EXP. Now these are Void Fissures. Void Fissures are a special mission type that can give you Void Traces and unlock Void Relics. Now Void Relics are your way of obtaining Prime parts without buying Prime access. So you can obtain all Primes in the game for free by just doing these relics. Now, you'll notice this says Lith, this says Meso, this says Neo, and this says Axie. That applies to the relic. So if you have a Lith relic, you go to a Lith mission to open it up, Meso, Neo, so on and so forth. So they combine A and B. if you do the mission with a relic, you can unlock what's in that relic, and if you're playing with other people, you get to choose from what they might have gotten from their relic, because relics are essentially shaky loot boxes that you can obtain prime parts from. And if you do it without a relic, you obtain void traces. Now, if you do it with a relic, you get void traces. If you do it without a relic, you get void traces. Without a relic, you don't get the item within the relic, but you can farm void traces without relics. You don't have to use relic. And yes, these are random missions, so sometimes they'll have survival, sometimes they'll have defenses, etc., etc. And what you do is you fight the special enemies that pop up, and you get the little glowy bits that they drop from them. Once you get 10 of those, you've unlocked the relic, and you can obtain the item inside. Or, if you're not carrying one, the void traces, which will help you upgrade relics to increase your odds of getting the really good stuff. Now, I believe once you max out one Warframe and one of each weapon, sorties will not. Sorties, as you can see, are super high-end missions that reward extremely good rewards, but you can only get one reward a day. So you play all 3 of these hard missions, and you get 1 reward a day. Don't worry about getting to sortie. Trust me. I've been playing a long time. These sorties, they have nice rewards like the catalyst and reactors for new players and the forma, but you're going to see these statues which aren't great, and riven mods which are just confusing for new players often. So don't rush to sortie stuff. Don't overwhelm yourself by trying to go, oh, sortie is endgame. Sortie is a side daily that vets do. You don't have to worry about that. And that's more or less what I have to say about the star chart, and a rough rundown of some of the important things to note about alerts, etc. I'll see you guys in the next part. And welcome to the last and final part. I'm just going to walk around my ship for a little bit and chat with you guys, because this is the part I'm going to call tips and tricks. And I've been playing Warframe for, well, basically since closed beta. I've been around a long time, and I know quite a few little things I think new players should note the moment they join. For one, you have starter platinum. You start with 50 platinum. Now, number one thing you do not do with said starter platinum. Just don't do this. Don't even think about it. You do not go to this damn market here, and you do not buy nothing. Just no. No, no, no. Do not touch. Nothing in here is worth your platinum right now. What you do want to do is immediately you go into here, you go to your inventory, and you get 1 Warframe slot, maybe 2. Because you don't start with many, and Warframes do make a huge gameplay difference. So you want to get yourself at least 1 Warframe slot, and then the next thing, weapon slots. Now, this is your choice. You could get 2 Warframe slots and then be done, because you can buy plat later to get more slots. You can trade. That's another big thing. You can trade. You can trade to get platinum. You do not always have to buy it. Trading is like any other game with a premium currency that you can trade with other people. It's time versus money, or luck versus money, so to speak. You can take rivens, and you can trade those with players for money. There's plenty of mods that if you grind and get lucky, you can sell those mods to other players. And so just please don't buy any weapons. Don't buy any weapons for plat. Don't buy any Warframes for plat. buy Warframe slots or weapon slots with your starter 50 plat, because that will give you the most out of what you can get out of that. Yeah. And another thing, not these deluxe bundles, weapons, primary weapons. See, these prices right here, I just want to note, because some people see that and go, holy crap, this game's expensive. No one in their right mind ever pays for those. Because you can quite literally just click right next to it, which I wish this, I wish this wasn't a thing. I wish this came first. But this is how you get blueprints for quite a bit of weapons. If you cannot find a weapon here, if you can't locate a weapon in here, just like this, it'll say it right here. This is in Energy Lab Dojo Room, which is in Clan. So, my first big pro tip, don't blow your money on stupid cosmetics. You will get cosmetics later in life. And you will get plenty of them if you learn how to trade. And you have to be either in a clan to trade, or you have to go to Moreau's Bazaar. I say get in a clan. Clans are great for new players. Most clans will help you. They will give you all the tips you need. They'll help you grind stuff. And that is exponentially more important than a lot of things. Clans are a big deal in this game. They help you obtain weapons. They are the people who will teach you the ways of the world. And often, more times than not, clans will be the people who will really show you the ins and outs. They will show you builds. They will run you through the hard missions. They're the guys to go with. Now, the other thing that I want to cover in this whole section is don't rush through quests. You're going to hit a bunch of quests, and take your time. Really pay attention to some of the details, because the quests get better and better as you go through them. The early quests are kind of but when you get to the late quests, they get really beautiful. The storytelling's great, and take your time. You know, you don't want to rush through this stuff, because it's worth enjoying. Now, I'm an old veteran player. I've kind of bashed through everything super quick, and it loses some of that luster when you realize all I did was, I just got through this really quickly. But, now I realize how nice it was. Why did I rush through that? So, don't be me. Don't rush through the quests. And another big tip is, I said it in a previous part, but do every Nightane alert you can get your hands on. If you see Nightane in here, just collect it. Even if you don't need it, get it. I can't express it enough. Nightane sucks. It is the only thing that slows you down in the large scheme of things is Nightane. Other thing is, take the game at your own pace. If anyone is pushing you in the game, if anyone's like, hey, I need you to get this or do that or do this, and being really pushy, don't be afraid to tell them, hey man, I'm still just getting the hang of this. Let me just do my own thing. Don't be afraid to spend an hour just looking through stuff, you know. You can spend an hour looking through your mods, learning, you know. Oh man, I've never read that one before. Because I can tell you, I've not read every mod in here. I have no idea what some of these even do. Because you get narrow focused on completing missions. And you'll lose track of, hey, why am I doing this mission? Why do I have this mod, etc., etc. And you'll easily just lose track of the importance of enjoying the game at your pace. For me, I play this game so casually at this point because I've done so much of it. I'm at a wall. You new players have a gift. You're new. You have so much stuff you guys can do. You have so much new exciting content where when you get to where I'm at, where I'm waiting for new content most of the time, it kind of sucks. Don't get me wrong, it's still fun. The game is it's become the only game I really play because it's that much fun. But don't be in a rush to get to the quote-unquote end game, because there's nothing there. There's no magic at the end of the rainbow. There really isn't anything big. Like, people may mention the raids, and I guess oh, I had to sneeze. At the end, there isn't an end. Fashion frame is the end game, is always the joke, but the truth is the raids aren't the end game either. They're just another side quest that you can do once a week to obtain some extra loot. And, take your time. Have fun with it. Play around with really stupid builds. I showed you modding, but I didn't show you any builds, because when I show a build, I tend to just go, here's a build. But you could do anything. I mean, you could get goofy with it. I mean, you could be like, hey, look, I took a hammer and put nothing but electricity on it, and a bunch of range, and, all it does is shock everything for a 50-foot-mile radius, Play around with that stuff, and don't be afraid to go solo on missions at times, too, because even though co-op's available, don't be afraid to go it alone just to see what you can do on your own, so you can see what you need to tweak in your own build. Because say you've been playing co-op the whole time and it's been going great, so you assume your build's perfect, right? Well, then you go solo and you're just getting curb stomped. That's a perfect example of, you might want to see how it functions solo, because every so often, as a new player, you're going to hit a node where there's not as many people playing that node. And it's just because a lot of the endgame players only play 5 or 6 nodes because they're quote-unquote the most efficient. So don't be afraid to just play around, go solo every so often just to see where you're at. And the biggest thing is have fun. Just have fun. I don't care what you do to have fun. I don't care if you're running around in a pink rhino roaring at people for no reason, or just going to the relays to show off your color scheme. Because you can get very easily into the tunnel vision. I need to get to endgame, I need to get to this factor, I need to get to this mastery rank, but you lose track of the fun of just hanging out with people. And that's another thing I want to talk about too. I know this is kind of rambly, but it's tips and tricks and thoughts, and it's kind of me convey my quote-unquote wisdom to new players is talk to other players. Whatever you do, take the time to talk to other players. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because more often than not, as a new player, you'll start talking to people, you'll find a group of people you get along with, and then you'll end up in a clan, and those people will help you. You'll find friends that you never thought you'd make friends with. It's just super, super, super fun once you get involved with other people, because it gets really stale playing by yourself. Just try to get away from playing alone as much as possible. And, don't be afraid to make friends. Because that's how I've had the most fun. The other thing I want to point out that I think is important for new players to know, it's more than just a tip, it's really the ultimate trick. Get a sentinel. I don't care which one. Pick as you choose, but get a sentinel, because vacuum. There will be some people who will hear this and just groan instantly at veterans because everyone's sick of hearing it in the terms of us old people, but vacuum will make your early game life, no matter which Sentinel you choose, the best thing under the sun possible, because detects and collects items within 11.5 meters, which means if you can see it, your guy will suck that stuff up for you. You don't have to run all the way on top of Rubidoux. That Rubidoux is now in your inventory. It's a done deal. Same as energy orbs and health orbs. Get a Sentinel. I don't care which one. As you can see, I use Helios Prime. You could get basic Helios. You could get basic Carrier. You know, you can get Jin. You get the Taxon pretty early on. You can do him and put on his vacuum mod, but vacuum will make your early game resource attainment life a million times easier, because having to be like, oh, it's right there where my Kavad is, and having to walk to here to obtain it, versus I'm standing here and it's already in my inventory. I'm standing here, all I gotta do is roll, and I just sucked up everything in that entire area, because it's a gigantic area. 11.5 meters doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot compared to 3 meters, which is basically 3 meters is from here to that damn cat. That is terrible. Whereas 11 meters is basically from me to the cat. It makes gameplay faster too, because you don't have to hug resources. I really wish vacuum was just built into every Warframe, so new players wouldn't have to get resource smacked and just get beaten, smacked around, slapped around, yada yada, with resources. Just smacky, 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 screw you, no resources. Now, another thing to cover is, I'm going to cover this, I'm going to say it, but if you get a platinum coupon, you'll get them as you log in. You will get variations of amount off from platinum. You'll get like 20%, 50%, but if you get a 75% off coupon for platinum, I really suggest buying the highest amount you can give away. Now, it's money that is going into a game, but I suggest if you have 75% off platinum, even if you're going to get $5 worth, that's a lot of platinum for $5 worth, even because it's 75% off. So if you do get a 75% off coupon, I suggest you use it, because they're rare as hell and they are worth the money. Tell me another game where you will get more than 50% off premium currency. You can't really think of one, can you? And these are random. It's not a special sale or anything like that. You could get it today, you could get it tomorrow, you could get it 3 weeks from now, but when you do, I really do suggest investing, even if it's $5, $10. But if you see 75% off, it's worth it to invest, because not only will platinum help you get through certain grinds, certain grinds, a little easier. You know, they're expensive, but it'll help you get through some grinds that are unpleasant when your RNG sucks. And also, you can get some pretty stuff. As you can see, I have some pretty stuff that costs platinum. Of course, Tenajin thing, but there's an advantage to having the 75% off and using it and getting ahead on certain things. It'll also help you get some of the harder to obtain stuff. You know, like if you're having trouble getting a mod, most mods are 20, 30 plat, aside from the ultra rares. And having platinum to not have to grind stuff can be really nice. Yeah, or you can trade. You can always grind the stuff and sell stuff. So, that's pretty much all I got to say about my tips and tricks. If you guys have any tips and tricks, make sure to put them in the description down below. If you have anything to add to this guide, I am more than happy to have you guys put that down below as well. And thank you for watching. I hope you learned anything in this. And I will see you guys on Wednesday.